Today we're road testing the Antonio Sotos Paella Kit. So what we've got here is a 34cm Paella Pan, nice and flat. We've also got half a kilogram of rice, special Paella rice, and we'll use all of that today. When you're looking for Paella rice in the shop, choose a short grain rice. The best rice to use is called bomba. I looked at Woolworths yesterday, actually they didn't have bomba, but they had a boreo, so use a boreo rice, don't use a long grain rice. We've also got all of our seasoning that we need, all of our spices, including the saffron. So we don't need to buy saffron separately if we're using the kit. And there's a bit of extra virgin olive oil there. Now, fresh ingredients is all that you need to add. So, paella is a rice dish. We flavour it with meats and condiments. So we've got about 400 grams here of chicken. I used thigh, nice chopped into small pieces. We've got a chorizo. We've got a bit of squid and some pancetta I had left over from yesterday. Now, to go on top at the end, we've got some green prawns, peeled and shelled, and some mussels. Fresh ingredients, we've got 1 capsicum, a clove of garlic, 2 Spanish onions, a lemon to serve it up with, 2 cans of crushed tomatoes, and some tomato paste. Now also what's really important is a stock. So we've chosen good quality liquid stock, salt reduced. The best stock to use is homemade. We don't have any homemade, so we're using this one. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, we're ready to cook our meat. So the first thing we're going to do is brown off our meat in our Paella pan. We do that first, and then we take the meat off, and then we start adding our vegetables. So that just gives a nice flavour to start adding the vegetables. There's a few things happening here. We've got our stock on a slow simmer. Now, if we were using raw saffron, we would have our raw saffron in that stock, giving it 15-20 minutes in the warm stock to infuse. But we're not, because we're using a spice mix, which has powdered saffron already added, so we don't need to infuse it. So, a couple of things about the Paella pan. It's a flat pan, so that maximises the surface area of the rice while it's cooking. This is a steel enamel pan. It's quite a light pan, sturdy, but not a heavy pan, so we actually want the heat to go through really quickly. The other thing about a Paella pan is it's slightly convex at the bottom. Now what that does is while you're cooking, just allows the juices to pool at the bottom and gives a great flavour to your rice. So we've got our meat chopped up. I've chopped up the chorizo and the squid. Mix that with the chicken, that's going to go all in together. And I've got the pancetta chopped up here as well. That's going to go at the end because it'll cook a bit quicker. And I've got a plate ready at the side to take the meat off once it's browned. We're going to use the extra virgin olive oil that comes with the kit. Once you finish using this, I would recommend a rice bran oil. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so I've got it just on a medium heat to start with. Bit of oil in there. And we're going to start adding our meat. So I've only just turned this on. Let's just get it in there. So as you can see, it's starting to cook already. And what we're going to do is we're just going to brown off that meat. Alright, so we're just browning off this meat. It won't take long, it'll take about 5 or 10 minutes. Just keep stirring. Now that chorizo is going to let a little bit of oil loose, and that's going to just really mix with the chicken and give it a great flavour. The calamari is just going to soak up those flavours. You don't really taste the calamari in the end dish. So once that's been going for a little while, we'll get that pancetta on. Alright, so we're just going to add our pancetta now. For the extra flavour. As you can see, I'm wearing a glove. These handles do get a bit warm. Alright, so this meat's just about ready to come off. Now we're just going to remove it from the heat, put it in our dish over here. And we'll try and leave those nice oils in the bottom because we'll start doing our vegetables in that in a minute. Alright, now we're ready for the vegetables. I've got our vegetables here chopped up from before. So I've diced them quite finely and I've crushed the garlic. I've cut a bit of capsicum into strips. We're going to use those at the end, so I'll just put them aside for now. We've also got our tomato paste and our crushed tomatoes ready. So what we're making now is called the sofrito. So this is the vegetable flavour base for our paella. Get this heat back on. There it goes. Now I'm going to do the onion, garlic and capsicum first, and then I'll do the tomato after that. So we're just going to brown off these onions and get it in there with the garlic, soaking up some of those juices from the meat. And we'll get those going really nicely, and then we're going to add our tomato. Okay, so we've just browned off our onion and added our crushed tomatoes and tomato paste. I might just get a bit of water in here. And what we'll do is just cook this on a medium heat just to thicken it up a little bit. So this is called the sofrito, and it's this flavour base for our paella. Now I've been calling it paella. The actual correct name is paella. It's the correct pronunciation, but that can be a little bit difficult for the Australian tongue and a little bit difficult for my tongue, so I call it paella. So we'll just cook that, let it reduce for a bit until it's nice and thick. Okay, so now we've reduced that sauce down until it's nice and thick. We've probably put a bit too much crushed tomato in there, but that's alright. We're just going to put our meat back in now. Whoopsie daisy, in you go. And get that all mixed through. Okay, we're going to put our rice in now. So just half a kilogram, 500 grams of rice. And we're going to put our paella seasoning, which includes our saffron. And that's all powdered. Now we're going to start adding stock. So we might just put all of this stock in. So what we're going to do is bring it to the boil. You can see the saffron colour there, the yellow. We're going to bring it to the boil and stir it, but then once it's boiled, you do not stir your paella again. So it just basically, it's not a risotto. You don't want it to end up creamy. So once you brought this stock and rice to the boil, we're just going to leave it, and then we'll just keep adding stock and let the paella cook through. So it'll cook for about, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour. But firstly now we're just going to stir it until it starts to boil. So as you can see, our paella has just come to the boil. We've got it still on quite a high heat. What we're going to do now is turn that down. So we'll turn it down to, basically, oops, a bit too much. Just a simmer. And then what we'll do, we'll just leave it simmering. Now the most important thing now is do not stir the paella. So we'll even take that spoon away just so we don't get tempted. But we will keep adding a bit of stock. As it reduces, we'll just top it up with a bit more stock. So yes, paella at the end, see those bubbles? We should end up with some nice pitting on the surface of the paella. So I'm just going to leave that there for a while. Been simmering there, I've just added our prawns. So we're using green prawns. So I've just popped them in, they're not cooked yet. But what I'll do is I've still got a bit of stock there, so I'm going to keep adding the stock, and those prawns will cook in the stock. It's going to be really nice. Okay, as you can see there, it's just continuing to simmer. I've been adding more stock as it's reduced. I've put in my capsicum, just for decoration, looks nice. And I've added the mussels, so I've just made sure that I've cleaned those mussels. They were fresh, raw mussels, so they're going to cook as well in that stock. Okay, so this is almost done. Now, what we're going to do now is our crust, or the soccerette. So what we're going to do is just blast our paella with a bit of heat. Just to finish it off and get that nice crust. So I've turned that up to a pretty high temperature. It is still reducing, but there's definitely a lot less liquid on there, so it will continue to cook once we take it off. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes at this high heat. We don't want it to burn, but as soon as it's ready, we're going to take that off. Okay, so that's cooking away furiously now that I've turned the heat up. We'll just give that another minute, and then that's going to be ready to come off. It looks absolutely fantastic. It smells delicious. And there it is, voila, our paella. So that's just come off the stove. It'll continue to just cook in the pan for a little while. So I would just leave it for a few minutes. You can cover it at this stage, and I might just do that. And then you would normally just serve that straight onto the table and enjoy while it's hot.